Did you know every time you eat, you're either fighting disease or feeding it? Fitness gurus and dietitians say eat whole foods, they are better for you. Avoid processed foods, they will harm you and cause disease. Blah, blah, blah. Are all processed foods inherently bad? Well, not necessarily. Keep watching to find out more. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Those that are subbed, welcome back. If you are new around here, then hit that subscribe button for future videos. Food processing, the process of taking a food ingredient or ingredients and changing it in some way. We have cookies, ice cream with added colours and sugars, baking, hot dogs, sugary breakfast cereals. You can understand what I mean by processed foods by us listing those foods. Well, what if I said canned beans, pasteurised milk, frozen berries, and a washed head of lettuce from your local supermarket are also processed? Me, I would say you're talking out your arse. Those aren't bad. My point being that everything I have mentioned is processed in some way. It's changed, prepared, or packaged differently is a form of processing and handling. Processing doesn't make a food bad for you. This is why saying all processed food is bad for you is a myth and complete bollocks. It's almost as bad as someone saying sugar makes you fat. Neither are true. Let me break down food processing and split up the content into different groups. First off, we have whole or unprocessed foods. Unprocessed foods are found in their most natural form, such as growing on a bush, a tree, a vine, or in the ground. Picking a blueberry right off the plant and eating it is an example of this category. There are no extra steps taken between the picking and eating of the original blueberry. Raw, unprocessed meat is also in this category. Number 2, we have minimally processed foods. Minimally processed foods are unprocessed foods taken to the next logical step. This includes cleaning and removing inedible portions, refrigerating or freezing, pasteurizing or fermenting, pre-cooking or drying, and bottling or packaging. Also in this group is frozen and canned vegetables and fruits. We have milk, whole grains such as barley, oats and cracked wheat, etc., dried beans and so on. Number 3, we have processed foods. This is broken down into 2 points. So we have processed culinary ingredients. Substances extracted from whole foods are things like oils, flours, sweeteners, starches and fats. These items have been removed from a food because of their usefulness in these modified forms. They are not typically eaten by themselves and are often or most often used as ingredients. You may not even recognise their name on an ingredient list. Modified starch, for example, can come from many different carbohydrate whole foods. Then we have the ultra-processed foods. Ultra-processed foods are what many of us usually think of when we hear the phrase processed foods. Cookies, ice cream, ready meals, hot dogs, and sugary breakfast cereals are but a few of the products that make up Group 3. Ultra-processed foods are normally made to look like minimally processed foods, but out of a modified version. Now I have split up all the groups, let's discuss processed food being unhealthy. There's no doubt that at least some processed foods are found in most homes. They can help when preparing meals, and some processed and fortified foods provide important nutrients that may not otherwise be obtained in a busy household or one that has a limited food budget, for example. Breakfast cereals are now fortified with vitamins and minerals. From a nutritional standpoint, processed and even ultra-processed foods can provide key nutrients, which feels weird to say. Some nutrients, like protein, are naturally retained throughout processing, and others like B vitamins and iron may be added back if they are lost during processing. Fruits and vegetables that are quickly frozen after harvesting can retain the majority of vitamin C. And seafood frozen at source, so out at the sea, can be fresher than fresh fish from a fishmonger. Weird, right? Throughout all of history, fortified foods have prevented illness. Examples include breakfast cereals fortified with iron and B vitamins to prevent anemia, milk fortified with vitamin D to prevent rickets, and iodine added to table salt to prevent goiters. Yet these same products are frowned upon in certain groups. Processing by certain methods like pasteurization, cooking and drying can kill bacteria. Additives such as emulsifiers preserve foods, such as preventing peanut butter from separating into its solid and liquid form. Other functions of processing like drying delay food from spoiling faster, but food processing also has drawbacks, dependent on the kind of processing involved. Removing layers of fruits and vegetables and whole grains may remove nutrients and good old fibre. You know me, I love fibre. Heating foods can also destroy nutrients. Although food manufacturers can add back some of the nutrients lost, it is impossible to recreate the food in its original form or state. If you are deciding whether or not to include a highly processed food in your diet, it may be useful to think about its nutritional content and long-term effect on health. An ultra-processed food that contains an unevenly high ratio of calories to nutrients may be considered unhealthy. These are normally low in protein and high in saturated or trans fat. Research suggests an association between a high intake of highly palatable foods with an increased risk of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. But some processed foods that contain beneficial nutrients, such as olive oil or rolled oats, have been linked with lower rates of these chronic diseases. So you always need to weigh up the benefits. My take on all of this. Now, I know that was a lot of information to take in. I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy ultra-processed food every now and again. It's all about balance. I have seen groups who have decided to remove processing out of their lives or to reduce it to an absolute minimum, but this requires a lot of time, a lot of patience and a lot of money. Growing your own fruit and veg, rearing animals, slaughtering, plucking, preparing the meat, grinding grains to make flour, etc. In a perfect world, this would be best practice, but sadly, we just can't do it. If majority of your diet is full of nutrient-dense foods, well balanced, high in protein and full of fibre, you can't really go wrong. Now, if your diet is currently crisps, biscuits, pastries and pizza, then yes, reducing ultra-processed food would be a good thing and be beneficial to you. Saying eating one ultra-processed ingredient will fuel disease though is rubbish, because it's a correlation of things that cause the issue. Having a pizza now and again isn't going to kill you. So next time someone tries to scare you about processed food, shake your head and walk away. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, then make sure to give this video a like. If you haven't already, then hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so we can become best friends. I hope to see you all for the next video. Until next time, farewell.